There's this crazy moment that happens when you stop being the SLP grad student and you suddenly become the clinical fellow walking into the room. On this episode of the All About Kids podcast, speech-language pathologists Mallory Kanterman and Kate Grande pull back the curtain on what their clinical fellowship year at All About Kids actually looks like.
At All About Kids, I found that I had a lot more freedom to treat versus my last CF, which was really interesting. I felt like I was being treated as an actual therapist right away. I was told to where to go, and I was like, all right, let's hit the ground running. Let's treat this articulation disorder. Let's treat this language difficulty. And I felt like I could text my supervisor at any time and be like, this is what I need help with. Do you have any ideas of how to treat this? This is what I'm thinking. And she's like, those are great ideas, but this is how I would treat it. But obviously, you're the one running the session. You do what you're comfortable with. So it kind of put that responsibility of being a therapist back on me, which I really appreciated.
From communicating with supervisors to managing caseloads to dealing with what am I doing moments, Mallory and Kate don't hold back on painting the full picture of their CF year. We get into navigating the chaos of the school environment, awkward parent phone calls, parking nightmares, and those breakthrough moments where therapy finally clicks and everything feels worth it.
When I started with the IEPs, I did one in February, you think before you're all these people are sitting there staring at me, presenting my whole thing. And then afterwards I was like, oh, okay, that's really not that big a deal. I'm just talking about what I do. How hard is it to talk about what I do? I talk about it all day, every day. Being able to talk about kids' progress or whatever I have to talk about. At the beginning, I was like, okay, this is scary. I don't like this. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's a quick 30-minute thing going from okay, I'm super scared to do this. I'm super scared to do that. And then afterwards, I'm just like, oh, okay, it's not what I thought.
Mallory and Kate share how mentorship, flexibility, and learning to think on the fly shape their confidence during their CF year at All About Kids. Alongside the obstacles and the pressure of first-time responsibility, they racked up plenty of small wins that made them stop and think, okay, I can actually do this. Let's get into it. Kate Grande and Mallory Kanterman, thank you so much for joining me on the All About Kids podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you mentioned something that I wasn't planning on starting with, but now I feel like I can't not start with it, which is bribing children. What does you bribing kids involve, and what would bring you to do something like that?
I can speak from an elementary school perspective. Bribing the kids is mostly just so we actually get our work done, because a lot of the times they find speech to be a lot of fun and have it be playtime, because we're doing a lot of play-based therapy. So whether it's computer games, board games, Play-Doh, things like that, they find it to be really fun. But sometimes that fun gets taken to a different level. So we have to reel it back in so we can target those goals. And it'll be either, I want to make sure we get all of our stickers on our sticker chart so we can get to the prize box, or I'll give our teacher a really good report and she'll write a great letter home. So things like that to really just motivate them to do better and kind of hit those targets and goals.
Yeah. So it's really for the kids' achievement and alignment. It's in there. It's for their best interest.
Yes, I agree.
What about you, Kate? What's your favorite way to bribe your kids?
I think it's interesting because I have the opposite perspective of Mallory, because I work with early intervention and CPSE, so I kind of have the opposite, the younger ones. So I try to just give them whatever kind of activity they want to do, because I feel like if I don't give them that activity, then it's okay, that the whole session just got messed up. So they want that specific activity. So, okay, fine, I will do that, and I will find a way to target their goals doing that activity. And the same kind of thing with stickers and sticker charts. I try to just make it as much fun for them so that it can be I had so much fun in speech, or I got through all my goals, or I did this, I did that, so that when they get back to the classroom or go home to their parents, that it's okay, this is what I did in speech today. So it's not okay, what did I even work on today, or what did I even do today? So they then go back to the classroom sometimes and
Yeah.
they'll be like, look what I did, or look what I have. So it's like interesting to kind of see that perspective too.
So how did you both get on the SLP track? What's your SLP origin stories?
So for me, I in college thought I was going to be a pediatrician originally, and I took Bio 1 and I almost failed, and I was texting my mom. I was like, "I don't know what I wanna do with my life. I know I wanna help people, but I don't know in what capacity." And then she goes, "Remember when you were little, you went to speech therapy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember." And she goes, "Why don't you take the intro class to communication science and disorders and see how you like it?" And it was my favorite class I took in college, well, one of them. And I ended up falling in love with the program. I turned that intro class actually into an honors credit class, so I did a whole separate project about my experience with speech therapy when I was little. Um,
Mm.
and that's kind of how I fell into the profession.
Was there a specific moment in that first intro class where you saw something click, or was it more of a gradual realization that this is an area I'm gonna stay
It was
in?
kind of a gradual realization, but it was also the understanding of what was going on in my head when I was that age receiving speech therapy and what was impacting me in my brain and how my speech and communication disorders impacted me when I was little, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm learning about myself in a way," and that was, like, really eye-opening, and I felt like I could make a greater impact being able to relate to these kids when I treat them.
Mm. So yeah, so not just learning about the technical aspect of being a speech pathologist, but relating to kids on a social and emotional level to be able to connect.
Yeah. It really like, I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, "I know exactly what you're going through." I go, "I went to speech therapy when I was little. Like, it's not easy what I'm asking you to do, but, like, look at me now. Like, I'm the one who's teaching you these things. I'm being able to help you learn these things, and I was in your position, so, like, it is possible to graduate from speech."
Yeah, no, that is a powerful thing to be able to relate to a kid's experience. Because 'cause I'm just thinking back on my childhood where you just tend not to believe adults. You tend to believe adults are just trying to get you, like, they'll say anything to get you to do what they want you to do, and so if an adult is actually talking about something that you've experienced, that kind of, like, flips a switch in your brain where, like, "Oh, like, they're a human being. They're not just, like, a giant, like, rule-bearing person coming down from their level and telling me to do stuff." What about you, Kate? How did you get into the SLP world?
So I think it was in like ninth or 10th grade, we had to do like this project in school, and everyone was like, okay, you have to pick what you want to be when you grow up. And I was like, what? I have 4 years to figure this out. And then they're like, no, like we want you to just look into something. So I looked into physical therapy, not speech therapy. Looked into physical therapy and I was like, I want to do this. There's no way that I'm not going to do this. And I was just like so set on it in ninth grade, knowing I still have 4 years to figure out what I want to do. And I think it was like 10th grade where I was like, I don't want to be a physical therapist. That just seemed boring to me. I want to do what I did back in elementary school where I just played all day.
Mm.
And because I went to speech therapy too, so I was like, "Ooh, I just wanna play all day. That sounds like a good thing." And then my mom was like, "Yeah, do that. That sounds like a great idea." So then when my senior year came around, or like junior, senior year came around, I was like, "Okay, let me look into schools and see which school has a 5-year program so I can get out earlier," and everything like that, and it was just, like, something that actually kinda, like, fell into my lap, and I was like, "I can't believe that I'm actually doing this," and it's, like, the same thing where, like, you then go into these sessions and you're like, "Oh, okay, you realize that I went to speech therapy when I was younger, and I am as successful as I am,
Yeah.
so why don't you, like, think that I am doing this so you can go on and have, like, a very successful life like I do."
Mm.
So, it's really cool to kinda, like, have that perspective because I know, like, when I was in college, it was like, "What made you choose this like field, and most people were like, "Oh, I don't know, I just found it online somewhere," and then there's like a select few of us that were like, "Okay, yeah, I actually went to speech therapy when I was younger, and it just kind of like made sense to then go back and help all these kids just like us."
Yeah. Yeah, ninth grade is a ton of pressure to put on someone to go, choose this, and this will be the rest of your life. So, oh, do you guys hear like a buzzing in the background or no? Okay, we are back from a technical difficulty. Right before that weird buzz sound started, I was saying to you, Kate, that it's a lot of pressure to tell a kid in ninth grade to just say, choose, like, choose this job, and then that's going to be your job going forward. I'm thinking back on my own time in ninth grade and those sort of questionnaires where I'm just like, well, my mind's still on being a Major League Baseball player. My dad is telling me to do something practical, so I guess I'll be like a pro baseball financial advisor and try to like make some sort cobble together some sort of fantasy career. So it is a lot of it's a testament to your discipline and foresight at the time in ninth grade that you chose physical therapy, but still the realm of therapy. You recognize you were
Yeah.
interested in that, and that ended up still being the zone that you focus your energy professionally today.
Right, and it was very hard for me to continue in the speech therapy realm anyways because it it is kind of undermined, like, how hard it actually is to go through the schooling of it because I did 5 years, so they squish everything into those 5 years. So, like, when you're going through it, you're like, oh my gosh," like, everything is just, like, being thrown at you that, like, when you're finally out of it, you're like, "Oh, okay, I can breathe now, I can do this, I can do that," like, when I was in school, I didn't think that I could do everything that I do now. So
Yeah.
it's interesting how all that stuff that's in my head is now, like, being put into practice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So fast forwarding to your CF year at All About Kids, before you even started your CF year, what did you think that the year was going to be like? And then what surprised you once you started as a CF at All About Kids?
I think for me, because I had a very untraditional CF experience, I started my CF elsewhere and I continued it at All About Kids. So I technically finished my CF back in November and I got my New York State license last month. But for me, what I noticed when I went into my CF, I knew that it was going to be like a very challenging year in the sense that in grad school, you learn how to treat, but you don't like you learn about the disorders, you learn about how the disorders present themselves, but you don't really learn how to treat until your externships. And on top of that, you have a supervisor who's really helping you get hands-on experience in that externship. So I knew my CF, it's my first time really treating on my own. It's my first time learning how to treat a lot of these disorders that I haven't had exposure to because you only have exposure to so many in your externships
Mm,
and you read a lot about them, but being able to treat them in like a practical sense, it's really hard. So that I was nervous for that, and I definitely had my fair share of wide ranges of things that I treated between my old externship and my or my old CF and my new CF. Um, but I All About Kids, I found that I had a lot more like freedom to treat versus my last CF, which was really interesting.
mm,
I felt like I was being treated as an actual therapist right away. Um, I was told to where to go, and I was like, "All right, let's hit the ground running. Let's treat this articulation disorder. Let's treat this language difficulty. Like, let's hit the ground running." And I felt like I could text my supervisor at any time and be like, "This is what I need help with. Like, do you have any ideas of like how to treat this? Like, this is what I'm thinking." And she's like, "Those are great ideas, but this is how I would treat it. But obviously, you're the one running the session. You do what you're comfortable with." So it kind of put that pressure, not pressure, but like that responsibility of being a therapist back on me, which I really appreciated because it made me a more confident clinician today.
mm. So would it be fair to say that All About Kids gave you more freedom and
Okay.
less micromanaging to just let
Definitely.
you figure out things on the fly?
Yeah, definitely, especially figuring things out on the fly because when you're in a school, there are assemblies, there are teachers constantly walking in, there are people screaming in the hallways. You have to figure out how to treat these children and have them pay attention to you while you have all of these distractions going on, and anything can derail a session in that moment. So it really made me be able to think on the fly, really become a confident clinician.
Yeah, as you're talking about all the distractions like an assembly or kids screaming in the hallway, I'm thinking of like a Mario Kart style obstacle
Yes.
course, jumping and trying to get mushrooms on the way
Mhm.
to treating the kid,
Mhm.
and it is it it's such a like a collision of what actually happens in real life versus the theories that you've learned that
Mhm.
you have in your head. And then, like you said, practically applying them in real time. That could be messy, but it doesn't always mean that's bad. That's just like part of the job.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you just need to be able to think on the fly and be able to be like, "All right." And, like, a kid will be like, "Why is that person screaming?" And I'll turn it around on them, and I'm like, "Why do you think they are?" Especially for targeting, like, WH questions or inferential questions, like, "Why do you think someone might be screaming?" They're like, "Oh, they might be hurt, like, they may have fallen on the playground." I'm like, "That's a great reason why somebody might be, like, upset and crying." And, like, we'll come up with different scenarios and, like, how we can help a friend in that situation. So it's, like, really just, like, using your environment to try and
Mm,
treat the kids as well.
yeah. What about you, Kate? What did you think your CF year was going to be like at All About Kids? And then what surprised you once you started?
I think, like, it was interesting because going from where, like, you're literally watched like, I was watched on a camera
Mhm.
and the supervisors were in another room, and so, like, if a kid was screaming, okay, supervisor literally walks right out and right into your room and says, "What's going on?" And then I'm like, "Oh, like, okay." I just, like, wasn't expecting that, and then now to, like, now where if I have a problem and a kid's screaming, okay, I need to figure that out. I now have the experience from when I was in grad school and that kid was screaming. Okay, what can I do to help this kid? So it's interesting to, like, have that kinda, like, opposite, and then if it ends up that, like, okay, it was, like, a really bad session and I needed, like, just a little bit of help trying to figure out, like, what I could have done or should have done or something like that, then I'll just send a quick text to my supervisor and just say, "Hey, this is what happened today. Like, what do you think I could have done better, or what do you think would be, like, a better way to handle this?" And she'll answer me, like, pretty quickly and just say, "Hey, like, this is what I think," or "Can I give you a call?" or something like that. So it's nice to have that kinda, like, fallback on and, like, having a supervisor to still be there, but not there every single
Mhm.
time that
Yeah.
I need, like, something in a session. So and she sees me, pretty often too, so it's, like, interesting to kinda say, like, "This is what I was talking about," like, right in the moment where I'm like, "This is what I was talking about 3 weeks ago when I called you and I told you that this happened," and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, okay, I totally understand this," and then she's, like, writing it down, and then, like, after the session, then we can talk about it, and it's nice to have that, like, flexibility with her too, where I can just kinda say, "This is what's happening, tell me what to do," and sometimes she'll throw it back on me and say, "What do you think you should do?" And I said, "Well, this is what happened, this is what I did," and she'll say, "You know, that was great. I'm proud that you did that, that was just a really good thing that you did in that way or in that session," and it's nice to kinda have, like, where she kinda just says to me, like, "Great job." And I'm not used to that, like, I'm used to back when I was in school where they would literally say, "You did this, 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 and this wrong." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, what did I do right? Is there anything I did right?" Where I can kinda then the next session go into what was right instead
Yeah.
of what was wrong. So now I have that independence of knowing, like, "Okay, this is what I'm doing. When she does see me, she can help me out and see if I need some help." But now that we're so far into the school year, it just kinda feels like, "Okay, I know what I'm doing. If she comes again, then maybe it's just, like, a little tweak of something." And, like, especially with, like, reports and stuff like that, like, it's just kinda nice to I send out the report to her, she sends it back to me. So it's really nice to kinda have that relationship with my supervisor too, because I know, like, I have a really good relationship with her, and we just kinda go back and forth trying to figure things out. And, that's the best way to help all these kids is to just, like, work together and figure out the best plan for these
Yeah.
kids.
Can you think of an example of where maybe a session early on was going not how you thought it was going, and then your supervisor offered some guidance or offered to just give a helpful eye on something that could be done to help the situation, and then you implemented that and things changed?
Yeah, so I had a kid that would not want to transition back into the classroom. So it was a 45-minute session, and at the end of the session, 45 minutes were up, I was going back to that classroom to try to help him go right back in, and he wouldn't help. He wouldn't, like, go with me, and I was like, "Okay, now what do I do?" So then I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna drag you, so, like, I need help." So I would go into the teacher and I was like, what do you think I should do?" And she was like, and she, like, didn't know either. So then that night, I called my supervisor and I said, "Hey, like, this is what happened today. Can you give me any advice? Like, I know, like, you haven't really seen him. You saw him once, but, like, what would you do in this situation?" She said, "Why don't you end the session 5 to 10 minutes early? Help that kid transition back into the classroom by either giving him a sticker that he can show his teacher or giving him, like, maybe a piece of paper, like, or, like, a craft or something that he can then bring back to the classroom to show them, and then that's kinda how he transitions." And I was like, "Huh, okay."
Mm,
And the next day, I was like, "Alright, let me give him a sticker." 5 minutes before the session, I give him the sticker, and he's like, "Ooh, sticker, okay." And then I'm like, "Let's show your teacher," and he kinda, like, turned around and went right into the classroom. I was like, "Oh,
wow.
okay." Like, I just guess, like, I wasn't, like, expecting it to work that
Yeah.
seamlessly. Like, obviously, it doesn't work that way all the time. The kid, like, could be really upset, and a sticker won't just magically help it, but, either way, like, it could help me in that moment, and also it can help me with other kids. So if another kid is having a hard time transitioning, okay, I kinda know, like, different ways. And that's another thing too is that, like, it's not just she tells me one way.
Yeah.
She'll tell me, like, 2 or 3 different options so that if I try one and it doesn't work, then okay, you try the other one or whatever. So it's really nice to kinda, like, have that, like, availability too, where it's just kinda like, "Okay, can you help me with this?" And it's just, like, right away, so
Yeah, that sticker thing is a Jedi level CF move. I feel like that could work on me, and I'm 32 years old. So, what about you, Mallory? Was there something that maybe similar to Kate? There was an issue, or just something wasn't clicking, and you had to rethink the incentive with the kid in order to nudge them towards the best result.
For me, it's been with my evaluations. So a lot
Hmm.
of my students are up for reevaluations this year in the schools. So a lot of the time it's like kind of like incentivizing, like, all right, let's get this eval done. And I go, I know it's so hard. And I texted my supervisor. I was like, I don't know what to do because like I have to eval this kid right when she comes in from recess. Like that's such a hard time when she's all amped up. She's just getting her energy out. She's also exhausted at the same time. Like, how do I manage that? Because she's not going to want to do it. Like, I wouldn't want to do it right after recess.
Yeah.
And my supervisor goes like, well, why don't you do this? Like, kind of up the amount of stickers that you give her or have her go into the prize box once you finish all the testing. And that's been such a game changer for her, like, she knows that when we, because I'm, like, on, like, day 4 of testing with her right now, um,
Hmm.
and it's been going on, like, since November, like, this testing, like, it has been a struggle getting her to do the testing, but we're finally hitting our stride where she knows, like, it's time to come in, I do my eval, I'm gonna get my 3 stickers, and I'm good to go. And I'm gonna get, like, a little bit of free play at the end, like, if I have 2 to 3 free minutes, like, I let her just chill because that was such hard work that she just did. So, that's, like, what I do with my kids when they're having, like, that, like, really hard whether it's a transition, whether it's hard like, something hard in the session, that's what I kind of do to help them in
Hmm.
those moments.
Another Jedi level CF move. Uh, A lot of grad students, they worry about caseload when they first start as a CF. What did your caseload look like in the first few months?
So because for me, at least I can say, like, I'm in a school, so the school district contracts with All About Kids, and they have their own SLPs already within the school district, but because there's such a high demand for speech therapy, they go out of the district instead of hiring another speech therapist, they contract with All About Kids. So for
Mm,
me, my caseload was already set in stone when I got to the school. So I knew that I was seeing this many kids on day 1, this many kids on day 2, and so on, so on, so on. I was seeing them in a group, and it's really the same kids that I'm seeing over and over again. So I have a caseload of about, I wanna say, like, 40-ish kids, but that's also between 2 elementary schools, and that's the same kids that I'm seeing over and over again. I'm there from, like, 7 o'clock in the morning until, like, 2:30, so I'm seeing a lot of kids in one day also.
mm. What about you, Kate?
Mine's like the total opposite. I'm working with early intervention and CPSC, so it's like a lot of travel built into my day too. So I have about 22 kids, I think, but I have from the beginning of the school year, like had kids like been taken off, been put on. So it's like I have a little bit of a different kind of way of doing it. And typically I do start at like 9 every day, and every day I'm done at a different time. So like Mondays is 7, Tuesdays is 5, Wednesdays is 5, Fridays is like 3:30, so I kinda, like I'm able to make my own schedule.
Mhm.
I try to work around the families and help them, like, plan their schedule too, because that's what's the hardest part is, like, the families are like, "Okay, I have 10:30 on Mondays and Tuesdays," and I'm like, um, yeah, I don't have that, but I can ask another family to move their
Yeah.
session. So it's like it's interesting to kinda see that where it's like, "Okay, I need this family to move here, I need to do this, I need to do that." So, like, we kinda have 2 different perspectives of things where, like, she's in the school, so, like, she kinda has more of, like, the
Mhm.
caseload is set and stuff like that. Meanwhile, mine, I had to build my own caseload. So, I would get emails where it's like, "Okay, can you see this kid?" And I would have to go and call a parent and say, I have this time, and this time open." And typically, parents are like, "Yeah, totally, like, come at whatever time you want." And then there's other parents that are like, "No, they go to daycare from this time to this time, so you need to squeeze in between this time." And then it's like, "Okay, now I need to take my schedule and move it all around." So every week I'm changing, like, everything. So
Yeah. So for you, Kate, it's more like a puzzle shifting in real time, and every week you have to figure out how to put that together.
yes, and it changes, like, daily, so, like, if a parent texted me this morning and was like, "Oh, yeah, the kid's gonna be absent from school." I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh, okay, so, yeah, I'll figure that out." And, like, makeups are kinda hard too because 'cause I'm already squished in so much of my day that I'm like, "Okay, I can do this day at this time and move this kid there," and it's just it is, it's a puzzle that sometimes never gets worked out.
yeah.
Because I only have one of me, so I'm like, "Okay, I can try to do this and that," and or sometimes I show up to schools and the kid's not there.
Yeah.
So, it's been hard that way too because, I show up and I'm like, "Okay, I'm here to see this kid," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, no, they're absent today," and it's like, "Oh, okay," and then I showed up to one school for that kid, and they're not there. So then I, like, wasted my
Yeah.
time getting all the way there. So that was at the beginning. Now I'm kinda more like, "Hey, is this kid in school today?" So that I'm not, like, wasting my time going all the way there and then coming
Yeah.
home or wherever I go next.
How manageable did each of your caseloads feel once you got into a rhythm? Once you got past like this is what I'm doing and I'm kind of scrambling to figure it out, and now you're in the okay, I feel like I have some sort of system.
For me, it took about 3-ish weeks just to, like, understand the kids' schedule, understand the school schedule, understand when I could pull them, when I can't pull them, um, but in reality, like, having access to the IEPs also in advance allows you to kind of you don't ha like, as CFs, we don't have to lesson plan as the way we did in graduate school. But it's good to just get, like, just type up, like, "I'm seeing this kid, wanna target this. This is how, like, these are ideas that I have." You don't have to go into full detail about the rationale about it, but having those access to IEPs also in advance really helps with kind of getting your footing and knowing, "Oh, this is what I'm targeting." Like, I don't need to plan out this whole thing way in advance, like, but, like, I need to learn how to do things on the fly. I need to learn how to change things on the fly, and things like that make you understand it a little bit more. Um, and then also with my, like, kids that are in ABA classrooms or in self-contained classrooms, understanding their behaviors and their triggers also took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Like, certain words, like the word "no" for some of the kids is really triggering. So knowing when to, like, say, "Oh, that's not what we're doing," versus, like, "No, you're putting yourself in danger, we need to stop that,"
Mm.
like, and being like, "I need to be the adult here and be able to protect this child," because their parents are trusting me.
Yeah.
So being able to understand their triggers also took some time, but really took about 3 weeks, I would say.
What about with you, Kate?
I think it probably took me a little bit longer just 'cause I would say September was, like, rough because I started with, like, a very small caseload, and then I had to, like, build it up and build it up. So, I would say probably by, like, October, like, middle of October, probably around, like, Halloween, maybe, I was like, "Okay, I'm understanding more of even like, something small as where to park." I had a problem, I was like, "Where do I park? Okay, I'm just gonna leave my car here, and I'm in there for 30 minutes, and if I come back out and my car's not there, then." But that hasn't happened, so
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just feel like it was just like, the small things where I was like, "Okay, I need to be here at this time. What time do I need to leave this session and go to this session?" And kinda, like, also, like, learning the kids, learning the, like, teachers, seeing, like, "Okay, when I go to this classroom, I need to make sure I ring the doorbell that they have, or I need to knock on this door," or, like, and finding the classrooms too, 'cause sometimes, like, people aren't as, like, friendly as you think they're going to be. "Oh, I'll show you directly to the classroom." "Oh, no, it's that classroom down there to the right,
Yeah,
make
you're like
another
one of
left,"
those
and, like
40 classrooms that you just
yeah,
pointed at?
and I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you want me to go to what number?" "Oh, yeah, it's down there somewhere," and then I'm like and then I'm supposed to knock on 10 doors each
Yeah.
time the door, but yeah, so it's, like, just kinda going there for the first time and just being like, "Okay, I need to go to this classroom first, then this classroom." So it's just, like, I just had to get into, like, the swing of things and kinda figure out. Now I'm just like, I walk into the school, walk to the left, walk to the right, like, I know exactly where I'm going, so it kinda gives me a little bit more time too, because at the beginning, I was like, "Okay, I need to give myself 10 minutes to find the classroom, like, put my stuff down, figure out where I'm going to even do the therapy," because when I go the one school I went to, I was like, "Okay, do I get a table? Do I get a room? Like, what do I get?" And they were like, "Oh, we have to figure that out." So it's like they had to figure it out too, so I didn't want that to cut into my therapy time as well.
Mm.
So I kinda got there early, tried to figure that out, and then they got it all set, and now it's been the same since day 1. So it's kinda nice to have that where most people are nice, and they'll be like, "Okay, you're gonna sit in that spot and do this and do that." And even with, like, early intervention where you go into the house and they're like, "Where do you wanna do therapy?" I'm like, "What's more comfortable for you for me to do therapy?"
Mm.
And now every time it's, okay, I know I'm going to walk into the house, and I'm gonna go to their play area, or I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, and the parents kinda have, like, that option. I give them that option to do therapy wherever they want, whatever is most comfortable for them.
Yeah, the parking thing is something that I wouldn't have thought about, but as an SLP who's traveling for a lot of cases, $100 parking ticket or getting your car towed could ruin your week. Like, not even just your day, but and then you're missing other cases, you don't have a car, it's a small thing that most people wouldn't think about if they're not a CF or an SLP, but yeah, that's super important timing-wise and being able to stay on track with cases.
Right.
We already touched on this a little bit earlier in the conversation, but how available was your supervisor when you hit those moments of, I have no idea what I'm doing? Like, what did the support with your supervisors look day to day?
For me, she was always available. Um, she may not have gotten back to me, like, immediately in the moment, but within, like, an hour or 2, she would always respond to me, and she always said, like, "If it's a real emergency, email me, 'cause I'll see that first rather than my text message." And whenever I had, like, those real, like, 100% emergencies, I would email her, and she would be like, "Alright, I'm on it, I'm here to help you, like, what do you need me to support like, what do you need for me to support you?" And I would explain it to her, and she would always provide, like, the best advice in that moment when I needed to hear it. She was always like, she's like, "You're okay. Like, nobody's gonna get
Mm,
hurt by your decisions, like, you're still learning. That's what your CF is for. It's opportunities to learn. You don't have your full license yet. You're allowed to make these mistakes in these moments. Like, it's okay." And that was, like, the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I literally couldn't have gone through the rest of my CF without kind of that support in place.
yeah. I'm gonna ask you, Kate, the same question. I'm just gonna close my blinds. I thought I closed it far enough to block the sun, but I'm gonna be blind by the end of this podcast if I don't close one of them. Okay, hopefully that's low enough because I'm also trying to preserve the daylight for the camera. So,
Yeah.
Kate, with you, what was your day-to-day relationship like with your supervisor?
Well, when I first started, I was very nervous because I didn't want to just kinda text her every single day, say, like, "I need help with this, I need help with that, I need help with this." So at the beginning, yes, it was kinda like that, and she would answer me within probably an hour, like Mallory said, like, she was very good at answering, and if she was doing something, she would say, "Can I give you a call?" And most of the time, I would say yes because it was in a moment where I was either doing my paperwork or I was doing something where if I was reaching out to her, I was able to really call anyway. So it was nice to then kinda call her, and then she would give me the advice that I needed, or she
Mm,
would say, like, "How are your other kids?" Or she would make sure that she's, like, there for me when I needed it, which was really nice, and I feel like at some points I was like, "Hmm, what should I do?" And then I was like, "Oh, wait, why don't I just ask her?" Like, and then I would reach out to her and she'd be like, "Yeah, this is what I think." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, it was that simple. For
yeah,
me, I was like, W are my questions, like, stupid? Like, I don't want her to think, like, I'm not smart and I don't know what this means, but then she'd be like, "No, that's a great question." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm glad you think so because I didn't think so." So
yeah,
and it was really nice to kinda, like, have that like, fallback too, where she was like, "Okay, just send me a text, and if I don't see it and it's really important, then give me a call, and I'll see the phone call, and I'll just, like, either call you back or text you, whatever you need." So it was really nice to have that, and she told me that I can text her at any time. So she was like, "If you're texting me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll see it in the morning." And typically, I have not done that, but like, there have been times where, like, I text her late at night, like
mm,
10, 11 o'clock, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, I got it. Like,
I've done
here
the
you go."
3 AM
yeah,
text, but I'll do,
oh
like, the
yeah,
text, I'll be like, "Send later."
yeah,
Yeah, right? Yeah.
yeah. So obviously both of your supervisors were very supportive and they made you feel comfortable enough to operate on your own, but then also if you had a question that maybe you were thinking, "Oh, is this like should I even ask this?" You didn't feel self-conscious. Like they didn't make you feel bad about asking those questions.
Yeah, I never felt like once that I shouldn't have asked a question. Um,
Mm,
she always provided me with the best support. Like, there was something that came an issue with, like, documentation for me was just, like, things, like, matching up, and I was crying hysterically, like, on the phone with her, like, on the verge of a panic attack, essentially, and she was like, "It's not a big deal, like, it happens. Just going
mm,
forward, just make sure it matches up, like, it's not a big deal at all, like, she's like, "You don't understand how many times this happens, like, you were provided with this information, we were provided with this information, it happens, just move
yeah.
on." And it hasn't been an issue since, and she's like, "Everything checks out, like, nothing's an issue."
Yeah, it's like the simplicity of them just saying like, "Okay, yeah, so what?" And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, I didn't
Yeah.
realize, like, I'm thinking, like, it's this big problem,
Mhm.
it's gonna be the worst thing in the world, and then she's like, "Okay," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "I didn't think it was like that, but okay, if you think so."
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's important to have that calming,
Mhm.
nurturing presence when something shaky is going on. It's almost like the pilot's voice that comes on when you think the plane is gonna snap in
Yes.
half, and it's
Yeah.
just the guy comes on, he's just like, "Alright, we're going through a little bit of turbulence here, nothing to be worried about. We're gonna get through some clouds and be alright in about 15 minutes. Why don't you get some Coke Zero and maybe something stronger, and we'll be right through this."
Right,
And yeah,
right.
like, just like, you still might be a little bit anxious, but just that you know that someone is in charge that's not freaking out makes you freak out less.
I think that for me has been the best thing, like, seeing someone just stay totally calm in those situations where I'm freaking out is like, "Oh, like, why am I freaking out so bad when she's so calm?" Like, obviously, if she's calm and, she knows that I'm the one who's practicing under her license right now.
Mm,
Like, as a CF, you have either a limited license or you're practicing under someone else's license, essentially. So they're responsible for your mistake. So if she's not freaking out about my mistake and it's her license on the line, why am I freaking out?
mm,
And that's been really calming to have that, like, kind of, like, nurturing sense in the CF
yeah.
experience.
So for these next 2 questions, just know that I've gotten approval from Eileen and your supervisors to
I'm
ask
so
these.
scared.
If you could change one thing about your CF experience at all about kids, what would you wanna change? And you can answer honestly.
See, for me, it's so different because I had the not so great CF experience before this. So for me, All About Kids has been like a literal dream CF. Like, if I could have started here, I would have. Um, but honestly, I wouldn't change a thing about my CF experience. I think maybe the only thing would be, like, how quickly all, like, the initial, like, emails come in, but, like,
Mm,
obviously, it's the beginning of the school year, and they're trying to reach service providers and get kids serviced and make sure the IEPs are being met and make sure they're in compliance, like, obviously, it's completely understandable, and that's something that, like, can't really be changed, but, like, when you're a new CF, getting those emails and not knowing how to call the parents essentially and
yeah.
being like, "Hey, I just graduated, but, like, I wanna see your kid." And then be like, "How many years of experience do you have?" And you're like, so this is actually my first year practicing." And they're like, kind of like having that, I guess, would be like having, like, training on that. But, like, honestly, that's the only thing, and if that's the only thing, I'll take it.
Yeah. What about you, Kate?
I think, like, I agree with Mallory where, like, kind of the beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. And yes, like, we had, like, 1 or 2 orientations, and then it was just like, "Okay, you need to now go do this." And I was like, I need to do what? I think there just needs to be maybe something where it says, like, "Okay, you here's your checklist. You need to do all of this by the
Mm,
time you start," or whatever, like, something like that, because I feel like I was so lost and constantly I was not, like, meeting the needs of everybody, and I was getting emails, and it was like, "You need to do this, 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 and this." And I was like, "Okay, I'm treating, but, like, I could do this as soon as I'm done." Like, I was, like, trying to figure out, like, when this person needed this, when this person needed that, and I was just, like, so overwhelmed because I felt like I had to do everything as soon as it came in, and I felt like maybe I was behind on
mm,
things. So kind of explaining I know we did have, like, an orientation meeting, but just kind of giving us a checklist of saying, like, "When you first see a kid, you need to have all of these things complete," or like, something like that, because I was just, like, so I just felt like a little kid again. I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
I need to figure out that, I need to figure out this, I need to figure out that," and I was like "Well, I don't have enough hours in the day." And I would get home and I would just be like, "Uh, what do I do? And, like, where do I
Yeah.
start?" Like, and stuff like that. So I just kinda I mean, now, obviously, I come home, I do everything I have to do, I get everything done, like, in a timely manner, like, stuff like that. But I think at the beginning when I wasn't, like, doing all that, I was kinda, like, thrown to the wolves at the beginning.
Mm,
It's like, "You need to talk to this parent and figure out this," and I just, like my schedule at the beginning was just so terrible, and I just had
mm,
no idea what to do, where I was seeing a kid at 3 o'clock, and I was seeing another kid at 10 o'clock, and, like, then one kid at 1 o'clock, and I was like, "Okay, what's with the rest of my day?" And then, like, eventually, obviously, I filled in, but those times that I started with maybe wouldn't have been ideal for, like,
mm.
now. So I think, like
Yeah. If let's say if you were put in charge of the All About Kids CF program next year, so you have total autonomy. Is there anything that you would do to improve the CF's experience of the next year, the year where you're in charge? It could be preparation for materials or just knowledge giving the CFs before the year actually starts. It could be something on the day to day, but anything that you might add or adjust if you were given that power with all your supervisors and All About Kids managers watching. No, I'm just kidding.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But for me, I think just because of the elementary school,
Yeah.
like, you see a lot of the teachers having the prep periods, you see a lot of them having a lot of time to actually plan for their days. Kind of at least for me, like, in the school setting, I am going from my first session at 8:10 to 11:30. I have a half hour for lunch, and then I'm seeing the rest of my kids until 2:30. Um, so kinda maybe, like, working in with the district, if possible, just, like, a little prep time, like, obviously, sometimes I get that just because kids are either absent or there was a gap in the schedule and I automatically have it, but kind of ensuring it that we get prep time because I know for me, I don't like to bring work home. I like to keep work and home very separate. That way I have good work-life balance. So I'm like, I'll go in a little bit early. I'll use that as my prep time, but maybe like I don't want to go in early one day. Like I want to be able to really spend my time getting ready in the morning. Um, so knowing that, oh, at 10 o'clock today, I have a secured, protected prep time.
Mm,
That would be like unreal and
yeah.
amazing.
What about for you, Kate?
I think, like, for me, when I first started, I didn't have a lot of materials, and I was just
Mm.
kinda like, "Okay, like, I'm gonna have to make a tissue work, or, like, Imma have to make, like, something work and figure it out from there,"
If you
because
didn't already cry into it,
r
you have to dry it
exactly.
Or
out.
make the cry tissue work.
Yeah,
Yeah, then you hang
you
it
know,
up
you
like on a
might have
drying
to.
rack.
Oh, it's
Yeah, and it would be,
crunchy.
like, arts and
Yeah.
Why?
crafts, yeah, so yeah, but, like, just trying to, like even, like, if there was something for someone to say, like, "Okay, these were the materials that I used when I was a CF at doing CPSE or EI," or something like that, just kinda, like, giving the CFs the option of saying, like, "Okay, here are some materials that I used," because like, when I was in grad school, we had use of, like, the entire clinic, and we had, like, used toys and stuff like that, so I used a lot of toys then. So it's
Mm,
the opposite now because or, like, when I first started, because now I have, like, built up a whole, like, army of toys. But, like, when I first started, I was like, "Okay, I need to pick 1 toy out of all of those toys that I played with and buy it and see how that works, and then try this and try that." And I think it was just, like, I didn't know where to start, especially knowing, like, I was going into EI, which I did not do in grad school. I did, like, maybe 1 kid, but not in their homes. So, like, I didn't kinda know where to start with that, and also I agree with Mallory with, like, having a prep period. I don't really have a lunch either, so I kinda, like, eat in the car, and I have to, like, make things work, but maybe just trying to, like, give time, just say, "Okay, you need 15 minutes to yourself in the car, whether you wanna cry or you wanna, like, eat food or you wanna
yeah.
whatever you wanna do," like
That's
That's
why
kind of stuff
parking
too.
that's why parking is so important because you don't
You don't
wanna
wanna
have to
park too
cry
close
on
to
the
the school.
grass. Yeah, or in the street. You need a
Yeah,
place to eat and cry that is
yeah,
fully covered and protected from the environment.
Yes.
yeah.
Did either of you have a before and after moment during your CF year where something happened or you had an experience and you thought, okay, now I get it, or just something shifted in your mindset where you look back on that and go, okay, that kind of changed how I approach things that year?
Hmm.
I would probably say for, like, when I started with, like, the IEPs, like, I did one in February, and I was just kinda like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see how it goes and just, like, work on it for the next one." And I just kinda, like, just did it and just saw, "Okay, this is." And it's also, like, you think before, you're like, "Okay, this is all scary, like, all these people are." I mean, I did it on a computer, but, like, all these people are sitting there staring at me, presenting my whole thing, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's really not that big a deal, like, I'm just talking about what I do."
Mhm.
Like,
Mm,
how hard is it to talk about what I do? I talk about it all day, every day, so it's not that hard for me, so being able to talk about kids' progress or whatever I have to talk about, the beginning, I was like, "Okay, this is scary. I don't like this." And now I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this. It's a quick 30-minute thing. Like, I'm just gonna figure it out and, go from there." So I think, like, kinda just going from, like, "Okay, I'm super scared to do this. I'm super scared to do that." And then afterwards, I'm just like, "Oh, okay, it's not what I thought." So, I think I get very nervous before, like, big meetings like that and stuff, like, where I don't know, like I said, like, I don't know where to park, or I don't know where to go in the school, and I'm opening the back door or whatever. Afterwards, I'm like, "Oh, okay, it really wasn't that big a deal. I'll figure it out next time." So, like, it's just
yeah.
I kind of figure it out as I go.
Does anything come to mind for you, Mallory?
For me, I guess it has to be, like, during one of my annual reviews specifically with this one. It was for a child, a second grader, and talking to the parents, I was just explaining how, like, what we were doing in the sessions, and essentially, and her parents go, like, "This is the most gross we've ever seen our child have in speech therapy this year," and I was like, "Oh." Like, I actually know what I'm doing as a therapist, like, it's not just me, like, playing games with her and, like, thinking, like, "Am I making a difference?" Like, I have confirmation from these parents that, like, they're seeing the difference as well.
Mm,
And when the meetings end, the school psychologist, who's usually the chairperson of the meetings, she always turns to me and she's like, "You are just incredible, like, how you speak to the parents, how you speak about the children." Like, it gives you such a confidence boost in a way, like, knowing, like, not just am I seeing it, is my supervisor seeing it, but people who aren't in the room are also
mm,
seeing it. They're also seeing that my
yeah,
hard work and effort is going a long way at the same time. So that's been,
yeah.
like, I guess, like, the most impactful thing that's happened.
Yeah, that's huge. To end off, if there's a future SLP listening to this, which there are probably a few, and they're about to enter their CF year, what would you want them to know?
It's gonna be hard. It's not easy, um, but trust your gut. Like, you grad school, in a way, prepared you for this while you don't know everything. You are going to learn so much this year, and it's gonna be a lot of information, it's gonna be a lot of hard work, but it's going to be so worth it. As somebody who's now gone through the CF experience and is now a licensed therapist officially, like, I can say that my CF year taught me the most I think I will ever learn as an SLP. It taught me how to be a good teammate when working with kids, like, if they're getting OT, PT, how are we working together to treat the child? Classroom teachers, like, really working on that camaraderie with the whole school team. Um, it's also gonna teach you thinking on the fly. Obviously, sessions do never go your way. I don't think I've ever had a perfect session where I'm like, "All right, what I planned is exactly what we did." I've never left a session with that. Like, don't go in expecting perfection because it's not gonna happen either. So, like,
Mm,
being able to adjust your thoughts and adjust what you're doing in the moment is also going to be really beneficial to you as an SLP and your CF experience.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Kate?
I feel like, there are a lot of firsts when you're a CF. There's the first phone call that you have to make to a parent. There's the first IEP meeting. There's all of that is going to be a first for you, and you're going to rock it, and you're gonna say, "I thought that went terrible."
Mhm.
So, you're going to have moments where you're gonna think something went really, really good or something went really, really bad. But if you tried your best, that's all that matters. No one's gonna come to you and say, "I think that that went terribly, and you need to rethink what you're doing." No one's gonna say that. They're just gonna be like, "Okay, I think you did fine," or whatever. I feel like, when I started, I was like, "Okay, I need to figure this out. I need to do this. I need to do that." I feel like the one thing that people need to know is just take a breath.
Mhm.
It'll all work out. It will. If I'm still here today, then yes, everything works out. I know when I was in the moment, I thought, "Okay, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen, that's not gonna happen, that's not gonna happen," but it will. Everything worked out, everything's gonna be fine. It is gonna be hard, but you're gonna get through it,
Mhm.
and it's just gonna soar by. I can't believe it's already April. I feel like it would be September again.
Yeah.
So, I feel like once you're in it and you're doing it, you're really gonna like, soar all the way through your CF, and you're gonna say, "Oh, okay, that was it." Like, and you're gonna realize, "Okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought," or just comparing anything to grad school, nothing can be as worse as grad school.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I
Nothing.
Wh-
at least I have more time now than I did back then.
what makes you say it can't be as worse as grad school?
I just did not have any time for anything. I barely had a social life. So
Mm.
at least now I can kind of like balance all that out. Like back then, I was at the clinic at 7 a.m. and I was doing paperwork, then I was doing this, then I was doing that, then I was doing this. And then I would look up and I'd be like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for class. And then I would go to class and then I would be like, all right, well, I need to figure out what dinner is now and either cook or whatever I had to do at the time and look at the clock. Oh, it's 9:30. I need to start winding down and going to bed. So it was like every day was another thing and studying and whatever.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, I work tip typically I work 9 to 5 and when I'm done, I do some paperwork and then I can go do whatever I wanna do. I can go to trivia night. I can do 10,000,000 different things with my life than I couldn't do back in grad school.
That is a great way to end off the CF podcast is looking forward to having a social life
Yeah,
and
Oh, yeah.
being able to do a trivia night.
yes.
That is important to be able to refuel. And thank you so much, Kate and Mallory. This was an absolute blast. I know that any CFs or certified SLPs, parents listening to this will get a ton of insights from what you've said. Thank you so much for coming on the All About Kids podcast. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys next episode.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.